The One Piece! The One Piece is real!
Can we get much higher? So high.
It's a great day here at Kek Cast, your number one TCG podcast for One Piece. And I am your host, KEKFILA, aka Sage. I am bringing you actually an emergency podcast here with Jackson Wong. How are you doing, Jackson?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm glad you made some time for me today. And I think the main thing everyone's talking about is that there's a new limit that just came out. I'm actually, but before I get into that, I am shocked that Bandai actually did this, or they even cared, right?
Yeah.
And specifically, it's for English format, because people always talk about locals or online. Oh, they should do this. This is how I would balance the game, but they're never going to even touch the game, right? They just don't do
I think
that.
One thing that people notice is that Bandai actually listens to its player base, which is really cool. But so many things about this ban list were really weird, like the timing, the fact that it's English only, and then they even said that they might bring it back for OP4. So many things are really out there for this ban list.
Yeah. Well, let's break down the ban list for anyone who doesn't know about it, right? If you're living under a rock. So what they did is they actually took Radical Beam, made that a one of. You can only play one of that ever.
Yeah, that was coming. That had to come.
Yeah, that one I think is almost. I think one is still too strong, but
yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing that should have been restricted.
People just might switch to Guard Point if they didn't run Rad Beam before, but some people run both. So especially Whitebeard.
Right. Yeah, Whitebeard is feeling the most of that because it runs both. Some decks you can just, like you said, just replace with Guard Point. It's 1K counter less. And, it doesn't matter most of the time, but then the decks that run both Whitebeard are really
I was actually okay with Whitebeard having this right before. It was pretty strong, but it felt like a Whitebeard niche kind of card, right? If this was its own a Radical Beam, a Whitebeard Beam, right? If it had its own restriction strictly to only Whitebeard leader, not even Ace. So that would have been maybe okay, but then they also restricted 9-beard, so you can only have one, which I guess people
that seems like a Whitebeard specific hit because Zoro doesn't really run it. Ace runs it sometime, but Whitebeard ran that card at 4 of almost always. Maybe usually 3 sometimes, but that was card that card's basically Whitebeard.
It's kind of weird. I felt like that because of the searchers, you can easily drop multiple new gates if you wanted to, right?
Right.
But the problem was before people just couldn't. It wasn't Whitebeard searchers, so you couldn't do that. But now, if they just removed the Whitebeard searchers, maybe it would have been okay.
Yeah, I remember in OPO2, when your Whitebeard opponent gets to 9 down, you're okay, I hope he doesn't have it. He might not have it. And then now in OP3, you're expecting he's at 9 down, he's definitely gonna play it. He definitely already saw it.
Yeah, well, usually they'll show you, at that point.
Yeah, they'll be oh, I found off Whitebeard prior to found off Ezo. And it just made Whitebeard way too predictable.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a problem with Whitebeard sometimes, or even any deck, right? A lot of decks have that predictability, but they also reduced, this is one I like a lot, actually, the Marco. I didn't like that Red had, at first they had the worst blockers, right? Or just generic bad blockers, but then they put the best blocker in the game in Red. And I like that they reduced that to 1. I think that was just too strong generally.
Yeah, it's crazy because he's a blocker for 99% of the game, and then on that last turn he's an attacker too because he's actually 5K as well. So it's kind of crazy that for such a good blocker he's also basically another 5K swing on the last turn.
Yeah, and so I'm actually really happy that this one got removed because your going tall strategies were just gone when you saw Whitebeard, or no, when you saw Marcos. And so you saw people in OPO2, even some Zoros or Luffy's kind of doing that, but it wasn't very good. But now it just became a lot better because there was consistency cards, right? Like Ezo. So
yeah, that's crazy. 3 straight cards, and they're all basically just for Whitebeard. Because Zoro's hit a little bit, Law's hit not very much, but this is just Bandai saying, yeah, we want to stop Whitebeard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the crazy thing too. This doesn't hit Law basically barely. If you played Rad Beam,
barely,
right?
Yeah,
actually,
you can still play 1.
Yeah, and then
most of us only play 1 or 2 anyway.
There was a Zoro list that 2 of them got top 4 at the last tournament online. shout out to Card Ape that profile, right? That's actually, it was an interesting list. They ran no events, right? And
no red beams,
they
no Marcos.
ran none of that, and so I feel like a lot of the meta sheep are just gonna like jump onto that build or Law, and it's gonna probably work out for them, right?
Yeah, that ban list is like a double a double hit for this or for that list specifically because one, it didn't get touched at all, and the other is that Whitebeard got hit, and a lot of people like looking at that list, they're like, how does this beat Whitebeard? And like it probably can beat it sometimes, but it seemed like it had an unfavorable matchup with the Whitebeard. But then now Whitebeard's not a problem anymore because you're not going to see that many of it.
Side note too, I was looking at that video this morning, the Card Ape one, and I saw how many views it had, like 7,000 something. And then by the time like a few hours went by, because the ban list, it had like 3,000, 4,000 more. It's like
that's crazy. Everybody's on the same page.
Everyone's like, oh no, meta sheep. What do we do? We're gonna play Zoro now. Okay, what list do we do? Oh, this one. That's
the one that runs
so
no
now,
Marco.
A lot of people are gonna be playing that or play to beat that, right? And I don't know. I mean, they'll probably like. People will probably put in like one of each of those cards in the deck just for lulz, right?
Yeah, I think people can definitely build on that deck. I think that was a kind of not, I wouldn't say one hit wonder because I still can see it doing well, but it was a kind of like a surprise factor where people didn't know what the list was, but then now they know what the list runs, they can play around it. Like one big thing is that like you're not running events, so like I can kill your Marco now without it being worried they coming back.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I hope it all changes. I bet you there's gonna be somebody who like doesn't know about the ban list, and they're gonna play the tournament, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, I didn't know. I had no idea."
Yeah, I mean,
that happens like at locals a lot.
If you're one of like the 500 lucky people who got to sign up, or like that means you must have tried really hard to sign up. You probably follow the scene anyway.
Well, in big tournaments, but I'm saying locally. You're gonna go to locals, and like locals, there's gonna be some kid who's like new to the game and he had no idea that was banned.
Right. Yeah. At that point, if I'm in a local and somebody does that to me, I would just tell them straight up. Like I wouldn't want to take a loss or anything. I'm like, okay, can you fix your deck so that we can play a match? Like, it's just locals.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense too. So that's pretty funny. So they hit all three of those. So I guess at this point, a lot of the content creation is not one just talking about that, and are kind of generally impressed by Bondi by actually doing something, right? That's like more the shocking factor for me. But I'm
not involved with other card games, so I don't know how other companies do it, like Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. But Bondi, I feel like they've been pretty good recently with their ban lists, being pretty proactive. And kind of like listen to their players. I know that in the Asian format, a lot of the players, like the big name players, complain about like Rad Beam, like the Don, Whitebeard, that kind of stuff. So it seems like they took that into account.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think Zoro and nothing just auto wins versus Zoro and Law, right?
No, you have one good matchup against one, and then you get like demolished by the other. Probably.
Yeah.
that's a hard thing about having three really good decks. Now it's a little bit easier because there's only two really good decks, so some decks have decent matchups into both.
Well, I'm assuming Zoro's, if you do a couple Fire Fists, just really does well into Law, right? Yep. So you'll probably see still a lot of lists with that kind of variant, right? Because that actually will deal with other Zoro variants. Fire Fist.
Yeah, not too great. I think Fire Fist is kind of a neg in the mirror, just because you're gonna kill their Buggy and their Don for 2 cards when their Buggy and the Don refilled it. But yeah, I do think that a lot of the Zoro lists are gonna index for the Law matchup because they don't have to worry about Whitebeard as much anymore. So you're gonna see like Vista come back, like maybe even Jet Pistol come back. Cards that weren't good in the Whitebeard matchup that like are really good in Law now.
Well, even like my Doflamingo, right? This is like a there's kind of B A tier depending on who the player is, right?
Right.
It's not great into Law. So the more Law there is, the least, like a lot of really good Laws. Sorry, I could be like a medium Law player, but a lot of really good Laws out there, they're probably going to have a little more fun against Doflamingo. So do I have to angle my deck to beat that as well? Like, how would I do that, right? Because I don't have to angle it to beat Whitebeard at all, and I don't have to I can kind of angle it to beat if I angle it to beat Law, I kind of angle it already to beat Zoro in a way, by playing 1-cost Doflamingo. Essentially, that's the tech I'm thinking of, making the deck more consistent, but.
Yeah, I think Doflamingo is like unique in that it can tech against both Law and Zoro are kind of the same cards.
Here's the thing. I don't for all the meta sheep out there. Okay, did you? I mean, I'm not sure if you're a meta sheep sometimes, right? But essentially, the main thing I'm thinking of is yellow, right? Did you play around with yellow at all?
I did. I like to like test every deck just to see what it does. And yellow was like one of the first decks I try to play around just because it's the newest color. And like I think of this ban list, yellow is like the obvious biggest winner. This ban list didn't hurt it at all. Like it wasn't affected by it, and then the matchups that
Whitebeard was the worst matchup actually.
Exactly. Yeah, I hear sometimes it's Whitebeard, sometimes it's Law. I don't know myself because I don't play enough games. But yeah, those are the two worst matchups. And since Whitebeard is like super nerfed, yellow like obviously wins. And yellow has a pretty good matchup with the Zoro too. I know a lot of Zoro players say that Katakuri is their worst matchup, depending on like how triggers go.
Yeah,
but yellow's like the biggest winner from this.
Yeah. Well, wait, you mean saying yellow's Zoro is a good matchup into Katakuri, or Katakuri's worse if there's more Zoros?
Katakuri is a decent matchup to Zoro, so I think like Katakuri is one of the few decks that can actually keep up with Zoro. So I think that I've heard from a lot of Zoro players say that as well. Like Katakuri is a really hard matchup, and a lot of it probably depends on like the triggers, like triggers.
This Card Ape build, this Patal build, is pretty good into yellow though. If people run that specifically, but if people like run like a mix of cards, I don't know. I don't think so. I hope it keeps it down. But I think most of the meta sheep that jumped onto yellow just had a really bad experience into Law, and they're just like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just gonna switch to Zoro or Law, right?
Yeah, so I saw that same video too. They said, I think I looked at the list. I was like, wow, this Zoro list should just be a lot faster than Katakuri. But they said that their worst matchup is Katakuri.
Who is Zoro?
Which is surprising. Yeah, the no event Zoro. I think I saw the same video you saw. I remember them, or I watched it too, and they said that Katakuri was their worst matchup. But they also said like it might be because of life triggers and you can't really predict that.
Yeah, I mean, in a game where there's already a lot of variance, like that's the high, like it thrives off of variance, right?
Right.
And even as a blue player, I found a way to play against yellow, but like if the variance is bad enough, I can't really do a lot, right? Like I'm actually gonna like not function, or I'm just gonna like lose due to him hitting crackers right when he needs it, right?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it's just so
and if I don't get my engine online at all, I just lose, just because I'll have no tempo. Like if I've definitely played Doflamingo games where I'm blind swinging, I'm not hitting anything, I'm not seeing a searcher, and against yellow they're just like chaining big 10 costs. I'm like, yep. I guess I lose. So
it's funny because I think Dofi, which is the deck you play, like used to be the lighter version of the variance deck, where it's like you're high rolling, and hoping that you get good kind of deck triggers or like a pro to stack your deck. And now it's like Katakuri is like the next step of that, and even like the air door Lucci decks are like that.
Oh, that's another thing I didn't think about. Lucci won a tournament, right? But
yeah, I
the
think
Lucci players I'm talking to say that Zoro isn't a good matchup.
Like it's not. I think Zoro or Lucci was one of the indirect losers of this, because their best matchup, or one of their best matchups, was with Whitebeard, and that just got nerfed. And then their worst matchup is probably Zoro, and Zoro decks are just gonna go like if you tell them to cut out Rat Beam, I don't think Zoro players are gonna replace it with Guard Point. They're just gonna put more and more aggro in it, which is like worse for Black decks.
Yeah, because I mean, Black is very good at removing mid cards, right?
Right.
But it's not very good at removing little teeny cards for cheap. And a lot of Black players have just switched to not even using Air Door.
Yeah, I like the non-Air Door package better.
Yeah, well, I think Air Door is a really great card, but I think if you whiff it once ever, you just paid 4 Dawn to do nothing, essentially.
Yeah, or like you use it to play a stand-up or
like
something.
if you've ever like played like a Nami before, and you're like, oh, I didn't hit anything off the top of 5 with Nami. Well, okay, I only costed me 1 Dawn. I still have a character. Oh, I played 4 for an event that gets me a character on the field, but I didn't get the character.
Or
that's
like,
so bad.
Khalifa or something. Yeah, I sort of don't like that kind of high variance deck.
Yeah, and I thought, well, people are like, oh, just play enough cards and you won't miss. I was like, well, it can happen. Like it could still happen.
I've seen Izo miss in like Whitebeard deck with like 40 targets, so anything can happen.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, that doesn't like lose you the game, but like they're not missing Air Door about like be like too much of a hit. So yeah, I'm thinking like Navy might be okay, right? Playing like a Navy package. So
or even like a combo package with both searchers, like branding and
yeah.
That's
and
my
Black,
favorite.
no, Black did do really good into Whitebeard because of Isho. Now people can
Isho?
actually play around Isho. Maybe just don't play Ishos anymore, right? Because
like Isho kind of like soloed Whitebeard back then.
It did, but right now in any deck you're just like, oh, I'll just discard down to 5, and they're like, oh, well, I guess you figured it out. So
yeah. So I don't think Lucci is really liking this ban list. One, because Whitebeard was one of his best matchups, and two, because a lot more people are going to play Katakuri, and Katakuri is a pretty hard matchup for Lucci too.
Yeah. And then, one thing I wanted to bring up because I'm a blue player is actually Crocodile, right? I think Croc is seen as pretty good, but it deals with the reason because it dealt with Marco.
Right.
And now that Marco's not really a card, I don't think it's very good anymore.
Actually, like I've seen a lot of Croc pop up. Like I played against one last week. I play against him all the time. And I heard that it is a good matchup into Whitebeard. I'm not sure how much the Croc into Whitebeard matchup you play. If any.
What my experience was, you just got lots of pacifistas out. They had no removal for pacifistas, and your board was just swarmed with them. Your blockers are too hard to get rid of. My issue with Crocodile is it's actually still relying on Sentomaru. Yeah, and that is poopy.
Otherwise, you're just blue Whitebeard and you're just playing a bunch of vanillas.
And I guess when you're playing Whitebeard too, you can play around this. Like a lot of bad Whitebeards, they just play what they used to. Like just don't play a 4-cost Marco. It's just a 1K counter now, right? This like because if you play a 4-cost Marco, you're like, well, why would I do that? You're just gonna bounce it or bottom deck it. Just play only like big cards and then kill them. That's what it was before. Like aces and play aces and 9-beards and you'll win, right?
Yeah.
But now it's that there's no but you're not gonna. So I think Crocodile's not even like gonna be seen. But that's
I think it'll be seen a little bit just because it has a decent matchup into Zora.
Yeah. But before we get into the tier list, I did want to actually do a little transition, okay? And I actually wanted to talk about the last online regional and then the future ones. I guess we both got top 32. So congrats on that. I heard you beat Cigar. Was that round 1?
I'm not sure.
He played Law.
What deck he played Law. I played against like 3 Law, so maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I just was on I heard someone else's podcast and they're like, oh yeah, Jackson Huang. I'm like, why Jackson Wong beat Cigar round 1. Cigar came back to come back 7-2 to get like top 32.
Oh, nice. Actually, no, that I think that name does sound familiar to me. I remember because like every time I play somebody, I'm like, oh, are you blah blah blah, and I remember saying, are you Cigar? And I was like, I'm sorry if I butchered your name.
Yeah, I think he's a Doflamingo player, but he switched to Law for set 3. So that's how I know him, right? And he hangs out with those worst generation guys. That's the main thing. So they talk about him.
Gotcha.
But that was one thing. So top 32. I did. Have you had any offers on those black cards yet? Like I have no idea what those are even worth.
Oh, why have people reached out to you? Like people didn't even know I wanted.
Someone kind of did, but we don't know about the price of like Kuzan Borsalino and
I think I saw a post.
I don't know.
In
Did black get worse or better? Like so now how much is that actually worth?
I think I saw a post from somebody in Australia selling all 3 like top 16 stuff for 2,300, which is kind of crazy to me. I thought it'd be worth as much as the Treasure Cup stuff was in the beginning or more, because these black cards are like staples. Like Kuzan's really good. Borsalino's always going to be good. Sakazuki is okay, but like these are like really good black staples.
Yeah, and they're very pretty. So
yeah, and they're nice.
So if you're listening to this podcast and you're interested in some pretty black cards, hit us up. Okay, we got you back.
You can get 2 copies.
Do 2 copies for a deal. And then finalist cards and things like that. I haven't had anyone even mention that. I'm assuming it's mostly scalpers that are just kind of buying those finalist cards at this point.
Yeah, because like people who like want the full rarity of like putting or whatever probably already got them.
Yeah. But I gotta pay for rent. I'm just kidding though. So, and then we're both playing this Sunday, right, at PPG.
I'm gonna try to unless something comes up. But yeah, I'm probably playing PPG too.
Okay. Are you? I'm playing Doflamingo still. I don't think I'm gonna change my build. Do you know what you're doing between the 2 decks or?
Between Zoro and Law, I'm still undecided. I think I haven't had time to play, but I like basically finalized my Law list after last week. I'm like, all right, I know what I would play if I'm playing Law, but now I just gotta finalize my Zoro list if I want to play Zoro.
Yeah,
but I'm still between those two. I guess I'm leaning towards Zoro right now. Just because I don't know, I tried Law last week and it was fun and all, but now I want to try Zoro. I guess pre-ban list.
Yeah, I assume because the last week you actually might see Whitebeard.
More Whitebeards. That's what I thought too.
But I could be wrong. It could be people just like, oh no, I'm gonna do this because it's gonna be good practice anyway for future ones. But yeah, some people this is like their only shot. Actually, you know.
Yeah. So I think I told all my friends who aren't like red players, like to get your invite, just play Whitebeard, and then this is like basically your last chance to get Whitebeard for like minimal effort, or your invite for minimal effort.
Yeah. And anyway, I also are you also playing on the 29th? The one after this? That's July 29th.
I think
it's core.
So.
I think it's core.
I think so. That show should be fun. This is the first one post ban.
Yeah, so that will be really interesting. So I don't know what I want to do. I'm actually cooking up something interesting, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to play Doflamingo regardless, right?
Gotcha. I'm like debating Katakuri just because it's, I don't know, like I think it could do really well, and like it seems fun.
I think that's not a bad choice, but Zoro and Law. that's nuts. I've actually you know how much I hate Law. I'm actually like contemplating playing that for like future stuff because it's strong. You know, I'm a good player. I could pilot it. I guess Law has bad swings sometimes, right? But I guess any deck has bad swings. Like with
what do you mean bad swings? Like
just variance. Like
super variance. Law is like one of the most hardest variance decks. Like you can easily win games just because you have the nuts.
Hit all your searchers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But there's some games where you have to actually really work for it. And yeah, Law is probably like the widest spectrum of what you can draw.
What's the gray area of missing a searcher and winning the game? You miss 20% of your searcher, like one or two.
You miss like one every 3 or 4 searchers. That's like the middle ground.
If you miss 2 out of every 4, if you miss one half of them,
that just feels terrible. If you miss half of them, then
if your opponent's good, then you're gonna lose. Yeah,
exactly. If your opponent's good, then you're probably losing that game.
Yeah, yep. I'd probably say so too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like Law. Like everybody has a love-hate relationship with it.
Yeah, but it's way too strong. I'll keep it Doflamingo for now. Okay. And you're not going to Pasadena, right?
I didn't get a ticket for it. I signed up for the wait list because this was going on during Ohio and I was playing back then. But I signed up for the wait list. I felt like I was pretty early enough on the wait list. If not, I might consider just going and judging because I've judged once for a Digimon event and it was really fun.
Are you a judge? Are you a judge level 1?
Yeah, I like signed up for it like way back like earlier this year when it first came out. So I think I was like one of the first waves to sign up for it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and people have asked me to judge some events. Like I think Gen Con, like somebody asked me if I wanted to judge Gen Con, but I'm playing in Gen Con, so I was like, probably not.
When is Gen Con? 2
weeks from now. I think like August.
Is that 1,000 people?
Oh, sorry, August 4th, that weekend. No, the in-person events are only 500, but I did see that the online events are 1,000 people.
Yeah, but I just didn't know. I know a lot of people going to that Gen Con. You know, I can't afford that plane ticket to Gen Con.
Yeah, that's like the barrier entry there, and you also pay for the convention. But I'm only going just because there's other events too, like Digimon and Lorcana, and I'm gonna play those as well.
Well, yeah, is that like the opening for Lorcana as far as like an event, or?
I think so, because they're gonna be giving out starter. I think Lorcana officially releases the week after Gen Con, so I think this would be like the first kind of time you can play Lorcana and get like actual cards.
Is there like only starter decks right now? Are there packs? Is it just like any other card game? I have not looked into Lorcana yet.
I haven't yet either. I think it's mostly starter deck cards now. I know at the event that's all you'll get. I think actually no, they said 1 starter deck and 1 booster pack, which comes with it. I guess it's like one of those sets where it comes with the deck and 1 booster pack. And that's what they're going to be using.
Okay. Yeah. You know, what side thing, right? If you've ever seen any big tournaments, I talk to these people at my locals. They all play, all these Pokemon players, in between rounds, they're playing One Piece. It's kind of like the new fun game to play in between playing games. Like literally at like an event, they're like, okay, let's get our One Piece decks out and play.
Or did you see like the Yu-Gi-Oh stream where the One Piece player was caught on stream playing, and then the cameraman just like panned away, being like, "Oh, that's not Yu-Gi-Oh."
I saw that clip, like that screenshot, but I was I didn't know the context until you just told me.
I think it was like a Yu-Gi-Oh Nationals, and there was like a break in between rounds, and they just saw somebody playing One Piece, and then they moved away really quick. And the funny thing is, the person was playing a Nami deck too. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh player playing a Nami deck. That makes sense.
Is it a Pokemon?
Oh, sorry. What do you mean?
You said it was a Pokemon player. It was a Pokemon convention, right?
Oh no, it was a Yu-Gi-Oh Nationals.
Oh, it was a Yu-Gi-Oh Nationals, and he was playing Nami.
Okay. Yeah, he's playing Nami.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so we have lots of events coming up. This set 3.5 with this ban list is going to be pretty good. And actually, let's just jump into this tier list now, okay? And I just wanted to actually just do like a semi-official tier list. You've probably already done like lots of things like this for certain things. People might be looking at this podcast, like scrolling in. I'll have something on my Twitter, okay? So if you can't read this because it's too small, go to my Twitter. Jackson will probably also retweet this.
Yeah, I'll retweet it for sure.
I beg him to retweet everything now. So, also, I you don't live stream this. I live streamed my last one. I got like you showed up actually, and you followed me at the very end. But I had like like lots of followers and everything, and lots of viewers last time.
Yeah, I think you had like 80 at one point or something.
Yeah, no, after first round I had 40. That's just from like no hosts or anything. And then I had someone retweeted. I had like 60 plus the whole entire time. So that's really good for a One Piece single content creator playing only Doflamingo. I thought.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's something that we're missing is like not a lot of people stream the tournament runs. And like if I'm not in a tournament, I love following that. But since I was playing, I didn't really watch yours. But if I wasn't playing, like maybe Pasadena, I'll follow around whatever stream is switching it. Or Twitch is streaming it.
Yeah. Well, I actually talked about this too my last podcast. What if like a streamer was walking around and like even like doing their games, like they had like a camera behind them? Here's the thing. If you sat in front of somebody, let's say it's round 7, okay, and you're X1, and the person sitting in front of you says, "Hey, dude, I have this camera strapped to my chest. It's live, but there's a delay, so I can't read anything anyway." Was that okay if we do this? What would your actual response be? Like, would you give consent to play?
Let's see. I would honestly like if he shows me that he's on Twitch right now streaming, like show me like you're not just straight up recording and getting like SpongeBob in your ear telling you what to do. Then I'd be like, yeah, sure, go for it, because I would go back and rewatch it. I was like, oh, cool, now I have a place to rewatch it.
Yeah.
And like I want to support people that do that anyway. I would be okay with it. I just like they would have to get consent every time, but I don't know anybody who would ever say no unless like it was just really awkward, right? So yeah,
I don't think I want to do that because it might ruin my experience, me playing. But I think that'd be cool as fuck if someone else did it.
Yeah, more power to you.
Jackson, we're going to get that rig set up to you, okay? We just see a guy following you the whole time with the camera. Actually, oh shit, that's kind of weird.
So that kind of, I used to play Clash Royale, which is a mobile game. And that kind of happened where we had somebody kind of content creator famous come from like Korea or something, and he brought like a whole camera crew with him who followed around during the tournament and recorded his matches. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that might be like some kind of future with that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
So I actually shout out to Worst Generation Gaming. I just copied this tier list from their last tier list, and they probably change it, so don't like harp on them on certain things here, right? They went to like a whole hour in-depth video and had like 10 people switching things up and down, upset. I'm just gonna base it off of this, and then we're gonna change it, okay? However people think, and I guess this would be more competitive tier list, not just like thinking of if you were going in to try to win or top 64 a 1,000-person tournament, what would you want to play? And we can just start with the obvious that Whitebeard, I don't ever see anybody ever playing this card for this set. Like that would be kind of nuts if they did. So.
I do think some people would try to cope it and some people try to play it. Like I think I saw in Asia where even after Moby Dick was banned, people like didn't play Ninebeard. They played the Strawbeard version with fees and all that kind of stuff, all the rush characters. So I think it's still like copeable. Definitely not S, maybe not even A.
I would say this because of Whitebeard ban, 9-cost ban, it goes down to A. Okay, that you can deal with that because because of Marco ban, it's down to like bottom A, maybe top of B. Okay,
I think that's pretty fair.
Because of Rad Beam ban, like
I'd still keep it in B.
like the lowest of B, like maybe the highest of C's in the middle of but you're saying like BC, like lowest of B. Yeah, it's listen, the Rad Beam ban alone, I would almost just say B, right? Like that alone, but you can accompany that with the other two. Like it's like, okay, this knocks it down 1, 2. So maybe somewhere between that. And that. I'll put low B. I
still think it's really strong. Yeah,
like
I still think it's really strong.
Because you have the searchers and you can find things, someone might make it work. Cool, right?
Yeah.
But for now, we'll keep it right there because that's okay, right? I think both of these are still good here.
I think these are on the tier of their own now. I used to put Whitebeard in this tier, but these two decks are probably just demonstrably better than everything else.
Now, I'm gonna actually just with Luffy, I think you didn't really play much of these anyway, and I don't think you'd see Luffy anyway most of the time. So I have a question mark with this. So I would say maybe better than Whitebeard. But
I was never a really big Luffy fan. I always thought Zoro was just better Luffy. And now Luffy, the biggest strength was that it could play those characters that need to attach Dawn and abuse that, like Whitebeard. But now you're not playing multiple Whitebeards anymore. I think B's pretty fair there.
Ace.
It's like worse Zoro.
Now, we never really even talked about Ace. But Ace felt good when you got Marcos off. And that's what kind of really hurts this, is that there's no Marcos anymore. And no Ninebeards. But I don't know. I think I'm a little uneducated on Ace right now. People were really starting to like it against Law. It is very good against Law. Law hates seeing Ace. So just because it does really well against Law, I don't think it deserves below these two, below the other two. I think it does.
I think like even though Ace was hurt a lot by this, because like, Marco and Rad Beam, I think people would just change their Ace list instead of being more like defensive or control. They just go more aggressive, like Shanks, or like play more Flame Emperors to try to end the game early. So I think it wasn't affected that much.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just keep them bottom of A for now. It's just because it does well against Law. That's my thought process.
Yeah, I can see that. People haven't figured out Ace yet. I think that's a deck that still can be solved for this meta.
Katakuri, I think isn't very good against Law, so you can't put it into S tier, right?
Yeah.
But it also, I guess, does good into Zoro, which you might see more of. And it had a really bad matchup into Whitebeard, so I'm just gonna put that at the very top of A. Because
Katakuri is weird. Just because it's not as good as Zoro or Law, so I don't want to put it in the same list, but I feel like it's like way better than everything else in A. Like if I could put like an SA tier, Katakuri would go there because like it's so close to S, but it's way better than A. Like it's hard to place in either tier. So if I had to choose, I'd put one top of A. If I could really choose, I'd probably put it like in its own tier, like S.A or something.
Yeah, like in between, but maybe the top of A for now.
And top of A is like fair.
Rob Lucci. Now, sometimes people even use Rob Lucci's skill. He's a CP Dine, and it did just do really well. I think it won even against Zoro's. But people are saying it's this Rush Zoro variant that has no events. It's kind of hard. So I have no idea how it does against Law. I'm going to assume it's not great, and the Whitebeard was like its best matchup, and now that's removed. It kind of has to go down. Right.
Yeah.
Just because of that. If this goes down, this also goes down. So.
Yeah, it's hard because it definitely got a lot worse. But then, what decks can you put above it? Like, I can't think of many decks.
I'm going to do this right now while we're in the middle of this. I'm going to just move Croc down and move Doflamingo up. This is this is very biased. Okay, very biased. Extreme bias. I think I'm a good Dofi player. And a good Dofi player can definitely make something like this work. It did have an okay, but the main thing is Croc. Croc was very good, but it did really well into Whitebeard and Marcos. Now that Marcos are just gone, you're never really going to be. That's never going to be effective anymore against those strategies. And against removal, it's his Sentomaru is like not great, and against Katakuri, it's kind of mid, and against Law, it's pretty bad. Like pretty. You pretty much lose most of the time. I think. Because when I play Croc, I just thought, why don't I just play Doflamingo? like I never use a skill against Law. Law, right? Or even against Zoro sometimes, unless they play like I play a 5 cost or a 4 cost on a curve.
Yeah, I mean, you might be a little biased because you're a Dolphy player, but like I actually was a pretty big Dolphy believer too. Like after you had your X2 run, I like messaged you right after. I was like, dude, you got to show me how to play Doflamingo because like I think it could do well in this meta. I just don't know how to play it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I actually am thinking. Some guy asked me for coaching, and I'm like, oh. I really suggest look at my videos first, and then let me know what you think.
That's what I do.
Like coaching. Just watch
I have
all
like
my
no
videos.
intention. Yeah, I had no intention of playing Dolphy like back in set 2. I still watch all your videos just so like I could get that knowledge in case.
Yeah. But I think it is a certain way to play it. So I do appreciate that. But it does have a hard matchup into yellow. I think there's a way to play against yellow, but variance is really good with yellow right now. So Kid, and I'm not talking about Stonewall Kid, talking strictly Film Kid. Stonewall Kid has a big issue where yellow is in the meta, and if Stonewall Kid sees yellow, actually, I don't know. Do you even? I actually don't know what you're supposed to do in this.
I used to be like one of those people who were like, wow, yellow has a cost category that just straight up murders a cost Kid. That's like a straight counter.
So don't play it.
Yeah, but I played the matchup a little bit, and like you see your ACOS kids more frequently than their ACOS category. So maybe the first category will, put your kid into life, but then you can get another one really easily, and it's hard for them to find another category. So I think that like, and even you can even bait the category like with a blocker law the turn before.
Could you just forego that strategy entirely and just use leader skill every turn until they lose?
Yeah. For sure. Like one of the things like with doing that, not playing your ACOS kid is that the category player gets impatient. They're like, wow, I have this ACOS card that like if I play it just gives me so much advantage now. Like even if I just bot deck anything with their characters or one of my characters, but I don't want to play it and save for ACOS kid, and they'll get impatient and they'll have to play it eventually. And then that's when you play your ACOS kid. Because if you're both keeping a boss monster in your hand, I think that kind of favors the ACOS kid because your leader is more aggressive.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because the leader's more aggressive. So actually, that may have changed my mind. I don't know how that works against, especially right now. Zoro has a lot of weenie cards, and actually, Whitebeard leader, the Whitebeard character dealt with ACOS Kid pretty well, just because of that. But there isn't like a lot of modifier and then KO units right now. Like even like this new Zoro list plays 0 Otamas, right?
Yeah. So that's the thing about the really aggressive Zoro list is that like one, it might have had a Whitebeard matchup, but 2, it definitely has a bad ACOS Kid matchup because it has no power reducers, no like pistols to get rid of ACOS Kid. That's the reason I played one ACOS Kid in my law list. I'm like, if I see this card against a Zoro that doesn't run no Otama or anything, then this card is just solo winning me the game.
Is it the wanted one? Is that why you played it?
Yeah, I had I played one Luffy and one Kid for that reason. I wanted to, but then I tested it and I was like, Luffy kind of sucks for this.
Did it ever come up in last weekend when you played it?
Yeah, it came up. It solo won me like the matchup was supposed to like against Kinemon and Crocodile. When I see those decks and I'm like, ACOS Kid is gonna win me the matchup, I try not to play any Dadan or Nami and just do a lot of body searches until I can find it. I'm like, I don't want to bot deck it. I just want to do Bonnie as much as possible when I can find it. And then once I find it, I'm like, okay.
Kinemon?
That's like round 2. Round 3.
But still, I'm shocked because that like auto loses to Katakuri. Like if they play that Kinemon, they just put that to life. You're like, well, it's nice to play the game. Nice knowing you guys.
Yeah, I played against a Kinemon and a Blue Croc. I played against the Blue Croc pretty late too, so he did pretty well.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's good. I don't know. Was it good against Law? I'm assuming.
Not because I saw my ACOS Kid, so the card won me the matchup by itself.
It won you the matchup, by itself. But if you didn't see that card, did you think you had another strategy?
It might have been a little bit hard because Sentomaro actually is so valuable. Like,
oh yeah,
Crocodile gets so much value with Sentomaro. Like, it's the same as getting value of Law. I'm like, wow, this guy's like keeping up in terms of value.
It's really interesting because Crocodile relies on Sentomaro. Well, let's talk about Sentomaro for a second. Sentomaro wasn't good in set 1 because there was so much cheap removal, like Jet Pistol. Right. Jet Pistol was rampant. The less Jet Pistol you see now is better for this, right?
Right.
So Will that, if you see a lot of Croc in Lost and Tomorrow, people will start be like, oh, I have to deal with that, so I'm gonna play this bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that like Whitebeard's out of meta means there's gonna be a lot more removal, because like small removal like Pistol or like Otama Robin, Otama Vista, like that wasn't good against Whitebeard, so people just cut it out. But now people are gonna bring it back.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if even you saying Shanks might come back for Ace. I know people are doing Shanks for set 4 for Ace, right?
Yeah.
That's in lit. Why was that?
It's just because I think those Ace lists were like more aggressive. Like they want to do like Flame Emperor attack or double attack, or they're not trying to be controlling at all. They're just trying to like go really hard and then play Ace or Shanks on curve, so that like if your opponent has 0 life, then you can just swing with Ace and swing with Shanks and use Ace leader effect, toss your entire hand and swing for like 15k or something. Yeah. I feel like there's 2 different Ace lists. One that tries to be really controlly, and then the other that tries to be really aggressive.
Yeah. And you don't think? Do you think Luffy? No, you're not going to see Luffy lists pop back up, right? Because Zoro, that's usually how it always ended up being in set 2 and 1. All of a sudden, Luffy just was like a more mid-rangey Zoro.
Yeah,
but I think like a mid-rangey Zoro is not what we need against like Katakuri and things.
Yeah, I think like any advantage that Luffy really had over Zoro kind of gets negated by like decks being more suited to handle the mid game, like Katakuri or even Law or Lucci.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Okay, just a thought, because like, could they just play Shanks like set 1 did? But Shanks is a weird card, so. And I know, here's a weird thing, a weird tech. I don't know if you're teching this in the law, but people do this in set 4 now, but it's a set 1 card. And they're instead of beige Capones, they're putting in killers. And
the 2-class killer, right? The blocker?
Yes. Yeah. And
yeah. Some of my friends have told me about it.
It's very good. My buddy plays it. Very good. Honestly, frustrating as hell, right? Like, because you want to remove that because you don't get the draw, but you want to just remove like their 5-cost law. Right. So.
Yeah, it's like very like, I don't know. Law lists are hard to predict what you're going to play against. And it's also hard to fit everything. Like, there's so many cards I want to play in Law that I can't. That's how I end up with like so many.
If you can play more than 50 cards in a deck, it'd be Law, right? So maybe not. No, maybe not. But okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I think so Kid might be somewhere there. I don't know how explored that is. Right. Especially, I'm assuming most people are going to be doing a kit, like a wall variant. Kid also did well into Whitebeard, to be honest, just because of the leader skill. But how good it does versus Zoro and Law remains to be seen. I think that I don't think it does not do well at all into Doflamingo. Like A-Cost Kid, like they're playing the A-Cost variant. It does pretty well. But most of them are playing Film now, and Film just gets destroyed just because before they had Basil, but now I get just 3,000 Worlds of Basil. Like my matchup got better, and that's what happened actually this weekend. I have faced one Film, and I was like, oh, I have 3,000 Worlds. Like this is broken. Okay, so
I was pretty high on the Film build before the ban list, but now after the ban list, I think I favor the A-Cost Kid build more.
That sounds fair. Yeah, I think maybe that might come up. So watch out. That's a nightmare waiting for everyone. They're waiting for that nightmare. Nami. I don't know a lot about facing Nami other than just people figure out the strategy of just go really tall. And I think Law and Zoro, they don't get tall, but they can just get really wide instead.
Yeah, Nami's probably the deck I played the most. Like, it's just a fun deck to play on Sim. Like, I can just play Solas here for like quick 10 minutes and then play another match really quick. Like, if I ever go to locals, I would bring Nami just because how fun it is. But Nami is like, besides Katakuri, I think one of the big winners of this list, because Whitebeard was a pretty bad matchup for it, in my opinion.
Because they got really tall. That's right. Yeah. So
yeah, because they're swinging 6k every turn. Your Zeph is probably never getting damaged through, so you're basically just hoping that you draw a lot of Kayas. But Nami still has a really bad matchup in Law. Law is like one of its worst matchups.
Yeah.
Just because it goes wide.
Do you think like this is like worthy of like a B tier, like better than Whitebeard now?
I would say not yet. I mean, I'd probably put it at the top of B tier because I think it has a decent matchup into almost any deck. I think it has a pretty good Zoro matchup because you can defend out everything. And if they swing with their buggy, your leader's not a slash, so you can kill the buggy really easily.
Okay.
It still has a bad matchup to Law, but everything else, I think it's pretty winnable for Nami depending on how you draw and how your triggers is.
Yeah. Okay.
And Nami's gonna be a deck I'm playing a lot after this ban list.
That's good. Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. I know. One little side note, right? I know like a lot of people's advice to play against Nami is for the first however many turns, just don't play against it. Just don't you don't actually swing at all. You're just build board with big characters, not even swinging with leader. And then once you get a tall character out, you can swing really tall. And just remove their pesky Zefs and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's what people usually recommend, and I'd recommend that to anyone else who's trying to play against Nami. But it feels like it can auto win some matchups, and I think it has to be in like the right player's hands, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard, but that's a little side note with that too. People are actually going to be asking in next set, how do you beat Queen? Because Queen's actually really good. I don't know if you've ever done anything with that, right? My buddy was having a hard time with Queen. I'm like, why not just do the same thing? Just don't play against it until you're ready, until your field's big, and then go either wide or tall, because you don't have to get him down. You don't have to attack him. That's like a weird strategy I never thought about for any game. And that might be a legit strategy for even like to face these leaders that are bound to these weird restrictions. Like the Queen's restriction is you have to have four or less cards in but if let's say you have a bunch of cards in hand and a bunch of life, and the Queen builds board, that's fine, right? But once they get down to low life, they can only use Queen skill once or twice. And then they probably lose or win the next turn. Not sure.
I haven't played much step 4, but I watched like one game. It seemed like a interesting deck. And like the game I saw that you mentioned is like they play differently. Like they didn't attack leader life or leader or anything, and like it was a really weird way of playing. Reminds me of set 1.
Yeah, you're gonna see that. You're gonna see a lot of Rebecca on Rebecca matchups. It's gonna be not fun. You're gonna see. I think Doflamingo, the green purple Doflamingo. I've heard that is temporarily banned in Japan from some shops. Oh, like in some shops, that's what I've heard. Got banned from some shops because games are taking too long. And that's strictly because of 7-cost film Luffy into Utah. And
into like 10-cost Doflamingo is just suspending keeping everything rested.
So the games were taking too long, and it wasn't, I don't know. Games that take too long may not be fun gameplay, right? Yeah. People never finish. So
yeah, that's interesting.
That's funny how that works. So yeah. As far as the rest of this list, I don't really care to talk much. Kuro. I don't think this is too bad. Do you have any opinions on Kuro? Like, I think it actually does something funny against Law, and that actually might put it at least above Nami.
I'm okay with that actually.
Okay, I don't know. I literally built the deck today, and had fun with it. But I'm like, man, this is actually kind of bad against Zoro because Zoro's too fast.
Yeah, Zoro's too fast, and your leader is a slash, so you can't kill buggies. But I think Kuro is actually pretty good, and I played against it on Sim once as Law, and I'm like, wow, this deck is like just resting everything and killing all my characters.
It's super annoying when they play a Jin against you, even like an Arlong against you. This Law, they're gonna like play a Jin, and you're gonna go, oh, you killed my Bonnie, or you killed this character. I didn't think you were gonna do that.
Or like they hit like mad triggers on like Nami's out of life, or like Hotch or the octopus out of life. Like it's a pretty annoying a deck for Law. And I'm not sure how it goes into Zoro, but I feel like it would be too slow for it. But I don't know. Like I don't know if there's enough Kuro players testing it out. It seems
that's fair.
I guess potential.
Anything C tier and below here, I'm actually mostly just going to ignore. I've actually seen. I'm not even gonna like rate these. I'm just gonna bundle them up, but. I have seen Arlong, and it's really fast, like surprisingly fast, like balls to the wall. Nothing too impressive, but I've gotten to games where I'm like, I actually almost lost there if I didn't do 2K counter, like that close. So
yeah, Arlong's pretty good. I put in C for sure.
Also, I also like Yellow Mom. That's just me. I think I just like a stupid build of Soul Pocus. So
I coped both Yellow Mom and Black Yellow Big Mom, and I think I'm going to go back to testing it after Whitebeard because I dropped it because Whitebeard matchup was almost unwinnable for Black Yellow Big Mom. And And if I don't have to worry about that, maybe Black
Yeah.
Yellow Big Mom can come back.
Oh, well, I don't really know what Black Yellow Big Mom wants to do, so you have more insight of that than me. But I play pure Yellow Mom instead of Katakuri, and it's not a great matchup into Katakuri. You just don't use Big Mom's skill against Katakuri, right? When you're in that matchup, because if you put a card on top of your life, Katakuri's gonna go, okay, I'm gonna attack and look at that card and put that to the bottom. So you're like,
Oh, they can't do that if you're at 1 life.
Yeah, but like generally you're going to be doing it when you're at 3 life, right?
Yeah.
And at that point they're not playing down like they might be playing down their 8 costs at that point, but it's just a different matchup. I would say though it's definitely cute into every other matchup and still probably gets trucked on by Law because Law is still Law. Unless you're, thunderbolting them to death. Yeah.
So I think it has maybe a slightly better matchup into Law just because you can cheat your life and put thunderbolts in there to pop their laws. In my Big Mom list, I play for like the thunderbolt just so I can do that. Or hope I get lucky trigger.
I play 3 now because I'm testing out Soul Pocus for fun, but I don't play 7 cost Mom in that build.
So I didn't either. I used to be biggest hater of 7 cost Mom, but your 7th on turn is just so awkward without it.
Well, when you're playing Mom, generally, hopefully you're at 3 life, right? When you're at 7 or 6 or 7 Dawn. And that's when you're using your Mom skill. And then the 8 Dawn, 9 Dawn turn, you're using Katakuri. And then 10 Dawn, Big Mom drop, right?
Yeah.
So it's not great, to be honest. But it's an option, right? So
yeah,
it's weird. It's weird. I think I'm okay with this. I'm just gonna screen cap this and send this to you, so we both have this as like an idea. Nothing too crazy, right? But just as an idea. Actually, I'll put it in announcements here, so you can screen cap that. And I appreciate your insight in this because
yeah, for sure.
This is definitely a big, weird, crazy day, July 21st.
We had like 3 weeks of the OP3 meta before it completely changed.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, one thing you did talk about was the timing was weird.
Yeah,
I think they should have said something before that. Hey, we're gonna keep an eye on it, so people like at least had like some kind of hope, like, oh, Bandai might actually do something. But this is like why it's so shocking. But I think this is the best time to do it. Like if they waited another week, people are already planning their trips and things like that, and what they're gonna be playing. And if they, as early as they can do it, people can plan around not playing that, right?
Yeah. I think like the suddenness was weird, but also that the ban list takes in effect in 1 week, which is like really little time. I remember when they announced like the Moby Dick ban, I was like, oh, we're gonna ban it in a month from now. So that's like gives you a lot of time. But this is like, I have a tournament next week, and now I have to prepare for that with this new ban list.
Well, I guess it's just so major that it's like an issue, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's a personal issue too. Like how major this is. Like,
yeah,
everyone's complaining about red. Everyone's making videos complaining about red. I thought about making a video complaining about purple, but like as a clickbait, but then it would just be about red. So because it is just good. It is just good. And I mean, people invest in their cards into it and their rarities and things like that because they didn't think Bandai was going to touch it. But this also shows you too, don't invest in rarities and good decks anymore.
At least alt rarities or something, because one of my friends, he doesn't pick up that many cards. He picked up a Whitebeard deck literally yesterday, and now he has nothing to play next week.
Well, there's one thing. There's different kind of level of rarities. There's minimum rarity. There's like getting a mix of cards or just your leader, right? And then there's everything high rarity, and then there's everything high rarity plus pre-release cards.
Pre-release stamps, that like treasure cup promos.
I know people that were begging for Whitebeard pirates, for thatched pre-releases. They're paying top dollar for all these Makino, Judge Otamas, right? I mean, I guess Judge Otamas aren't as much anymore. They're like 40, I think. So, yeah, it is. But now they're like, wow, this is terrible. This feels really bad. But I think every card game's always had that, right? Oh, I had the max rarity of this, and it got banned. Wow, this really sucks. But maybe only max rarity your mid decks, guys. So
yeah, I mean, or max rarity decks that you don't think will ever be touched, like
but I'm still shocked. But they might unban it in OPO4, beginning of OPO4. Which
that was one of the footnotes that they mentioned. Yeah,
if they did do that, I think people would like at least want to see it for a week, right?
I think that also explains why this is only English format, because the Eastern format is OPO4. So they're not affecting that there, so
Mhm.
they have some kind of way to backtrack if they ever want to remove it.
Yeah. Yeah, but they'll probably unban it like at the beginning of OPO4. Like if I was to put money on it, like why?
Yeah, because
Why not?
one thing that I was brought to my attention is that Bandai usually doesn't ban cards above like a rare. Like they usually don't ban like super rare cards or that kind of cards. And
Mhm.
the Marco Blocker is getting a Treasure Cup promo next month, so
Oh,
those are
shit.
gonna be like worth even less.
Oh no, dude!
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
gonna feel bad winning
money!
those.
Oh no! It was like a top 64 or top 32 or top
I
16.
think it was top 32. Either 32 or 64, because I know the
Oh,
Zoro is top 16.
oh
Which are Zoro's
yeah.
top 8. Sorry, Zoro's top 8. And
Zoro's
the Queen
top
and
8.
Marco. Yeah, Queen and the Marco were top 64/32. I don't know which was which.
Yeah, but they're basically the flagship stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So that like Bandai banning a card above just a rare is like a big thing. So I think
Yeah.
it hurts their bottom dollar if they ban a card that is
Yeah,
hard to
it
get.
does. Yeah, and that's why they can't touch law. They touch law, they ruin the whole game. And
No, it's funny because Law is probably one of the cheapest decks to make, besides like the
Yeah.
blocker Laws and the Rush Zoros.
yeah.
Like it's a lot of it's just commons and everything.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, Zoro is actually kind of expensive to play, like the leader one. Let me think here, leader.
Did you have the Marco?
Doflamingo is so expensive, dude. And
Because of the gym base?
yeah, you can't even get them anymore. There's no more events, so they're
Right.
actually from this point on they're going to be limited. And so you actually might see a spike in Jinbei price after this. That stonks. Jinbei
After
price
they
is
see that you put Doflamingo as like your fourth best deck.
Well, no, but I mean, people meta sheet might switch to Doflamingo.
Yeah.
And I mean that's here or there. Like just so you know, I'm working with Will to Win Gaming now on his Patreon. I'm helping his Discord a lot, right?
Nice.
And so I built up his Discord and everything, and I'm basically being a social media manager. This is my
Nice.
tipping my toes into doing that. So shout out to that. But people ask me questions about Doflamingo, and I'm like, listen, I'm not a coach. I know I make Doflamingo content. I don't have a lot of time for that. And I'm just a Discord mod for this Discord. But well, go watch my videos and you'll have a better idea what to do. So yeah, until I coach Jackson Wong how to play Doflamingo.
Yeah, that'd be like your number one, like your grab is like, oh man, I coached this guy to get a top of the treasure.
Oh my god, I think I might have to. Would you consider playing it on the 29th, possibly?
I'm down to consider it. I'm not sure if I
Jinbei?
will yet because I think I have like 3 Jinbei.
Okay.
I'll consider it because like after I was really serious when I messaged you. I'm like, I'm really considering playing Doflamingo.
Dude, that'd be like screw the viewership. That'd be just cool as hell,
Yeah, that's actually the best feeling for my Patreon. Is like when one of my patrons got first at Ohio. I'm like, wow, that feels great.
Regardless of whatever deck you play, if you played this deck, I don't think you would do worse than 7-2. So, like,
you underestimate me.
You think so?
I might go X3 drop.
You might go SC drop. Dang. Reminds me of my brother. So he maxed ready Law in set 1, and then he went X3, dropped, and immediately sold the loss and everything.
Was that at Treasure Cup? I think you told me that.
In Las Vegas.
I remember you told me that story.
Yeah, I said that so many times. It was really funny because people wanted him in our locals, but they sold on TCG Player that same day. Like he put him up, like he's on his phone. Like I'll just put him up there. And they already sold. He's still in Vegas, and we're like, wow.
Yeah, but that sounds really fun though. I would love to be able to do that for you if be able to top under your coaching or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll just go over it. I don't think it's anything too crazy. So, I think the deck plays itself most of the time, right? But there are certain situations where I'm in where like, wow, I had this happen one time, it might happen again. And usually Kuma, Pacifista, and Love Mellow are the things that end up being the biggest impact. And people just don't know what to do. Also, like, it's just standard things like, oh, can I go for lethal here? Like, do I just have lethal? Because if your board's big enough and their hand's like medium enough, you might be able to just do that. Or at least put them in a position where they can't win next turn anyway.
Gotcha.
That kind of thing. So there's different ways, and most of the time when you're playing against an opponent, a Doflamingo, you don't know what they're gonna do. All of a sudden they end their turn with 4 Dawn active, and you're like, wow, I can't possibly win because they have 2 love mellows.
Or they're bluffing it, and I don't want to risk it.
Yeah. Oh, I've had to bluff it. Yeah. There's a lot of bluffing in Doflamingo. Just to give you actually one insight, I talked about this in my last video. Every time you play a 9-cost Mihawk, the turn after, always keep 2 Dawn active, even if you don't have a love mellow. And the reason is that your opponent will never ever attack your Mihawk and try to kill it with like throwing a ton of Dawn on like a big character.
Yes, I would never do that.
Yeah, but if I had 3 cards in hand and no cards active, you're gonna swing maybe like 12 at it, 13 at it, right? But if I have 3 cards in hand and 2 non-active, you're gonna go, oh hell no, I can't do that. It's like a suicide. Like it's like why would I'm gonna lose it? I'm gonna lose the game, right? So, and I've definitely, it might force your opponent to kill it. I had a Whitebeard. He had to do that, and I had no love mellow, but he like threw way too much Dawn on his Whitebeard to kill it, and I'm like, sweet, this is super good. So he still killed it, which was sucks, but it was benefit for me because he used so much Dawn and wasted half his turn. So
that's the Dawn the tax.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of this happened, so XY, so it's fine. And I'm glad I can maybe have you as a peer student. So. Yeah. I did want to ask you a quick question about your Patreon as well. How's that been going?
Oh, it's been going great. I think like I'm getting a steady increase in numbers. I think I'm at a little bit over 50 now, or close to 60. And like the number didn't really matter to me that much. I think it's just all the people reaching out to me or like commenting on my posts or asking for questions. And it feels really good, to have people ask for your opinion or like take your advice and then do well with it. Like I said before, like the best feeling was when one of my patrons got first at regional. It wasn't just him. It was like a couple other people who got like top 16 or top 32. And at the Ohio event, like one of my patrons walked up to me and like, oh, I read your Patreon. I did like pretty well today. And I was like, oh, that feels awesome.
Great. Yeah. I mean, so it's going well, which I'm super happy for you. I don't know how Patreon works as far as showing how much you make on Patreon, because I know a lot of Patreons will actually show how much they make. Is that like a setting you turn off and on?
I think so. I think it's a default setting that is on or off.
Okay.
But yeah, there is a setting, but like, I don't think I would ever like advertise that. Just
you're fine. No, I'll tell you what Will's is because it's literally public knowledge. He was making like 400 something a month, but now it's up to 700, and that's that's directly after this last tournament, and also me helping him a little bit, social media manager. I'm not saying it was completely me. He's the content. I'm the middleman right now. Yeah. And I'm trying to really help out with that. But yeah, it's not something you exactly advertise, but it's not a bad idea because people might be like, well, somebody else sees the value in this, right? Right. So why wouldn't I? It's kind of people need an excuse sometimes just to at least see how it is. And that's what I'm trying to do with his Discord. And all
right, you convinced me. I'm gonna advertise mine now. I'm gonna find a setting and then just show the money value.
And if you ever need Discord help in setting up a Discord and making it easy for you, I don't know if you do that kind of stuff, if it would make it easy for you, or if it just works through Patreon and just talking to individual people, because it might feel cluttered, right? And to give you a strict example, what I do is, first of all, how it's set up is you get on Discord, you get on his Patreon, it'll automatically assign you that role in Discord, and you have access to those channels. And then you can ask for certain coaching, and what they'll do is they'll make a channel, and it'll just say your name, say Clyde. Okay. It'll say Clyde, and essentially only you see it and all the coaches see it. And you can ask whatever questions, and maybe even like time, like, hey, would this work? Did that work this time? It feels a little more personable. And the best thing is, it's not even better for the patrons. It's easier for the coaches because it's not just in DMs anymore. Right. They're all kind of on the same page. And that would be kind of cool to kind of spread that out. I know Patreon's been blowing up even with like Cross AI. He's been doing some stuff.
Finally started. I've been telling him, I think me and him were supposed to start at the same time because we've been talking this for like a month. I'm like, dude, let's start Patreons because like, we love writing articles and reading articles. And I told him to start it like a month ago, and he's finally done it, which is really good. And like he's getting a lot of, buzz around it, which is awesome because he deserves it. But yeah. Patreon is really hard because sometimes like you have to have steady content. Like I want to do at least one post a week, preferably two, but sometimes you get caught up in life. Like this week was pretty busy for me, so I couldn't post that much. But
I guess it's maybe a good idea to have that help of a social media manager to make sure you at least we can at least make a post, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can share this post today and say, hey, it's on Spotify. Go check this out. Go check out this. So maybe that'll be a post you could do, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll probably do that. The reason I don't like doing that is that like, yeah, exactly. Like you can up your post numbers by just making like, announcing like, I'm gonna make this post next, which I don't like to do that because like I want to keep the amount of my posts like kind of like these are only posts that are for content, not just like PSAs or something.
Yeah, but this might be fine, right? Like if you were to post my Spotify and your Patreon, right? So your patrons know where to go at least.
That makes sense because this is actually content.
And I would give you permission, sir. If that
matters. Yeah, that would be the biggest thing.
You already have permission by being here. Okay.
So, yeah, that'd be the biggest thing.
Can you imagine? Oh, sorry, sir, you didn't sign this NDA. That's actually my content. That you're in it. Yeah. Okay, what are you gonna pay me? Oh, did I mail you the Loser Don? Did you get that?
I gave you the wrong apartment number. So I messaged you. I'm like, I gave you the wrong apartment number. So I don't know where it got sent. So I was gonna ask you.
I'm gonna double check that again. Yep. I may have not sent you it. So
okay. It would be better if you didn't send it because I gave you the wrong address.
I know I updated the apartment number, but I'll just double check that because I definitely didn't send you it the first time. I don't know why I didn't. So
okay.
I'm gonna double check it. Then. Oh, maybe I did. I'll look. Regardless, it's just some loser, Don. You know, some other loser's gonna get it. So, and also thank you to the sponsor of this video, Loser Don. Well, I kind of ranted on a little bit. So Patreon's doing good. I did have a question as far as Patreon because I've thought about maybe in the future I can do one. But did they take like a cut?
They did.
Can I ask you what that is? Does it depend on a lot of things? Like, do you have a rough percentage, maybe?
Forget. I think it's around like 10%. I'm
10%.
not sure. I remember I looked at it before when 8%.
8%.
No. Yes, actually, no. 8% is for the paid membership. I think it's around 10. I looked at it before. And it was an exact percentage, but I forgot what it was.
Okay. Got it. So if let's say you're making $100, you pay them $8, something like that. Maybe around 8 to 10%. Right. So
right.
Okay.
I'm actually curious. I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, I'm curious because I mean it's not like Twitch where it's like 50%, right?
Right. Yeah, I think it's around 8%.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, I mean it's pretty good. Maybe I should be charging 8%. Damn. That's funny. Okay. All right then. Well, I didn't really know what else to talk about. We talked about events that are coming up, everything that's going through, store championships. I haven't gotten into a lot of those because I've been playing online, and it's like the same day, and yeah,
it's hard. I was lucky that my stores did it the week before regional started, so I was able to play like 2, and then I stopped playing them after I realized the blue piece aren't worth that much. So I was like, okay,
people aren't buying them, right? Is that the issue?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's just too many of them. Or like store championships are still happening, so people could think they can still earn them. So I mean, they're still going for a lot of money. I think they're going for like 150, 200 on TCG Player at least. So they're still worth kind of money, but I didn't think it was worth it for me to just go out there.
The real juice is just going to locals and getting those winner cards right now because they have like winner Namis, winner Bonnies, and next set I think it's September. That's when it starts. So if it's in September, your shops aren't probably going to get them till October because Bondi, But they have like the 4-cost Mihawk, the 4/5 Mihawk. That's going to be the hit for that one. So they're going to have more winners. So I'm really happy that they have these really nice winner foils now. But they just take a lot of time to get here. So
yeah, I'm not involved with stores. I don't know. But yeah, I've heard like some people like are waiting, like they've won store championships and they're still waiting for their loot because they didn't come in yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some of my friends won like the first week, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the store said we didn't have it yet."
The first store championship at ours was really hyped because people wanted like the awesome cards. I'd like
walk Robin and everything.
Yeah, well, I want the Gecko Morias because I play the deck, and so some kid would pull out. I just throw a $20 in front of their face. I'm like $20, and they're like, "Okay." So it's like way less than that now. So and like I had one guy trying to like be like, "Oh, trade me your Robin," because I pulled a Robin. Trade me your Robin for it. I'm like, No, this is like double the price.
Yeah, everybody knew the Robin. Everybody I talked to like wanted the Robin.
Yeah, I mean it's juice. It's nice. It's pretty.
Yeah,
right.
I wanted the Chopper because
Oh yeah.
to prepare for set 4. Yeah, to prepare for set 4. I'm like, oh, Doflamingo is the deck I might want to play, and Chopper is like a 4-up in that deck, so I wanted it just in case.
Yeah, but it's just I thought you were a min rarity guy, but I guess if you're just,
I am.
That's not that expensive of a card, so that's like a middle rarity there.
Yeah, no, so. You're right. I've actually like since you saw my last deck, which was a min rarity, I'm like slowly creeping towards the dark side.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's it though. Like only like a couple cards. I would never like max rarity deck.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Don't start buying pre-release cards unless they're like really cheap. So
and then that deck gets banned.
Yeah. until Kuro gets really strong, and then all of a sudden we're fucking trying to like get pre-release Hachis and stuff. So that's a good one. Okay, so Patreon. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think I'm out of things to talk about, Jackson. You said you're moving, right?
I will be soon. That's kind of why I was busy this week and couldn't provide much content. But that's I think I'm pretty much wrapped up with that, and now I get to actually play.
Are you moving? Are you still going to be in the same state?
Same state, yeah, same area. Just a little bit, like a couple blocks away. But yeah, I'm excited because now I get to actually play.
When are you moving over to the West Coast? Just
somewhere
a little cheaper. You do the same.
I mean, cheaper depends on where you live.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, like if you live in like I don't know, Los Angeles or San Fran, then it's probably just as expensive.
Yeah, but I live in Utah, so it's just it's like in between. I suppose.
Yeah, I think I'll probably stay East Coast forever, just to be near friends and family.
Oh, friends and family. Oh, you got them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, where can we find your socials?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Clyde or twitter.com/ClydeTCG. Same thing with Patreon. Patreon.com/ClydeTCG. Those are the things that I use the most, especially Twitter. I'm trying to be more active on Twitter. But yeah, no YouTube, and yeah, just Twitter and Patreon.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. And then you can always find me here at YouTube. If you search up KEKFILA, that's me. You can also go to my Twitter in the bio. Shout out to all the Will to Win Gaming. I'm working with him now, so check that out as well.
Excited.
And
maybe I can pop in sometime or just to see what it's like. Maybe I'll like Patreon for a month.
I'll give you I'll get you in and give you a certain rank. That's just
nah, it's okay. Let me join like the right way. I'll join through Patreon and then
it's a rank that you can at least say something. There's actually you can't say anything like in chat. You can type in chat. But
interesting.
Yeah, but a lot of it's I'll just show you so you can see that. But all
right, cool.
I'll send it to you right after this. But yeah, thank you everybody so much for watching. See you in the next one. Ciao.